Sembrava di avere le idee così chiare. Volevo fare un film onesto, senza bugie di nessun genere.
Hello and welcome to another episode of How to Be a Movie Snob. Guys, we're going back to the Roman era. Oh wait, no, not that far, but we're in the same geographic location.
The vicinity, the Roman vicinity.
But unlike the Roman movies, nobody speaks with a British accent in this movie. Oh no. They speak with
some.
Well, they do.
Some
British
weird
American,
dubbing Americans.
I don't know.
Spattering of
there's a
English
spattering.
speaking.
But for the most part, it's a pretty legit Italian accent. Like, I believe they could actually speak Italian. I don't know about you guys. But
I believe they are.
I felt it was very convincing. Very. It felt like they really got the location down with their. They must have really studied the accent or something. I don't know. So this one really
Yeah,
was.
maybe.
Dialect
Coach.
Guys, my name's Seth. I'm joined by
Mariah.
the lovely and the punctual
Pat. I see.
Not in the name announcement.
I just like it when I make Pat say his own name because it's one syllable.
Yeah, I don't.
And here's
the
thing: my name is one syllable as well, but because I have all that synth going on, there's a lot. There's a lot there.
There's a lot. Yeah, I've got
Yeah,
some plosives going on.
a lot of plosives.
Where you go Seth.
Your name is the reason why we have these guards around the microphone.
You have no
That is the
phonogram
reason.
in
No,
your name.
It's
Pat.
the truth. Guys, we are doing a classic. This is on so many top movie lists of all time, including the Vatican's top 45 movie of all
Saw
time,
that.
which I thought.
Who knew the
Is that
Vatican
because
had
like
a list?
cardinals
I
were in
mean,
there? Like
yes.
it's just
Did they have
It's
do they have
from-
movie night?
It's from Italy.
one of the
I
few
feel
one of
like-
the few non-exorcisty movies that have
Yeah.
cardinals in them.
That's true, and they still are for it, I guess. This is
Yeah.
not an American movie, folks. That was a little. I tricked you.
We hinted at
I
it.
tricked you with that. It's actually
Gotcha.
takes place in Italy with Italian actors, hence why their accent is so good. That's right. This has won 2 Academy Awards the year it came out. One in Best Foreign Picture or Foreign Film, or they've changed the name a couple times, so forgive me. I don't remember what it was called. that year
Yeah,
it came
foreign language, whatever.
out. Yep.
Whatever it is.
And it also got Best Costume Design, I believe, which is very
Black
fun.
and white.
For
believe
black and
was
white,
like a
that's right. Thank you,
subcategory.
Pat. It was like a subcategory. That would still be fun. We won the black and white best costume design.
Yeah,
Were
because
you
you're
guys-
the only
were you guys
black and
the
white
only
movie
one-
this year.
That would be so.
I only
There's
needed
usually
3
at
markers.
least one every year. Like it always win. Like, well,
Yeah.
we're gonna win if we do it in black and white, guys.
And
Come
the,
on.
the black and white movie that was from last year is still one of my favorite ones. The vampire movie. Oh, that was so
Nosferatu.
funny. Thank you. So funny. Anyways, we'll come back to that. This movie is, of course, Hollywood's favorite kind of movie.
No.
Not Hollywood's favorite kind of movie, but filmmakers' favorite kind of movies to love. Mm-hmm. Movies about making movies. It's like their favorite thing. Oh, is there a movie about making movies? I wonder if it's going to get nominated for things. I wonder. I don't wonder, because you guys are just praising yourselves. That's all you do, people.
Well, they can identify with the.
Yeah, you can't identify with like regular people, but you can identify with a director not being able to come up with a script. Ugh. Am I right, Pat?
You're right. The research team is poking me, and
Oh.
they're saying the movie you were referring to is The Count or El Conde,
El Conde. Yes, there we go. Thank you, research team.
not Nosferatu. That's just you say vampire movie black and white. My brain goes to Nosferatu.
I'll be honest.
But that will come out later this year.
I have to admit, I
Don't
wasn't
worry.
actually listening to what Pat said. I just assume he said something in a different language that was El
No.
Conde. So that's my fault for
El
not
Conde.
actually paying attention
Bless you.
to my
Good movie.
It was a
Good
great movie. It was hilarious. Mariah, what movie are we talking about?
I lost track with the conversation. Oh no. 8.5.
Or, as Pat likes to say in Italian,
8.5.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Otto y mezzo. Okay.
Is that how it is?
Who
We're moving on.
directed this?
Are we making me do it? Federico Fellini. Is that all right?
Not fettuccine.
Not Fellini.
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 Guys, we like to apologize to all of our Italian and Italian American listeners.
It's just really
we are
everyone
not
listening.
even going to be close on
If
any
there
of these
is
names.
any of you, we're sorry.
We apologize in advance. Starring the amazing Marcello Mastroianni.
Mastriani?
Oh, pretty close. Who's famously shared the screen, which I thought this is pretty crazy, with Sophia Loren for 8 movies. 8 movies with Sophia Loren. So, that's the kind of
They're very attractive people.
They're very attractive people, and so that kind of makes sense. And he was also in La Dolce Vita, which is also another very famous of the Italian
Fellini.
movies, greatest of all time. So we got some heavyweights here, guys. We got some heavyweights coming in here. Let's start out with our cold brews and hot takes. What did you guys think of this movie, and what was the shocking, controversial?
I got a hot take.
Yeah,
My take is hot. As cold as my brew is, my take is hot.
What's the cold brew? Which of the same brewery that you're always?
Yeah, I'm still rocking. I'm still rocking Bodhisattva's.
Bodhisattva. Okay.
It sounded a little bit Italian,
Hey,
Bodhisattva.
Not at all. That sounds good.
And my hot take is, some experiments fail. Is my hot take.
Oh, so is this an experiment that failed, Pat? I just want to.
This is an avant-garde movie, and risks were taken. I would say.
Oh, okay. Mariah, what is your hot take?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a hot take, huh? Okay. I got one, and I'll give you a little
Something about the movie that wasn't made is kind of my hot take, but I can't quite fix it.
I got a couple
verbally yet.
I got a couple then for you in the meantime. This movie was way funnier than I remember. So I tried to watch this earlier before I was really getting into, film and trying to be a movie snob. I started watching it this time, and I was like, this is surprisingly hilarious of how they're just, how much of a scoundrel he is, and the other people around him are. I just thought that was little vibes of like Dirty Rotten Scoundrels kind of came to mind, and like little just the. It felt like you could have cast this with Steve Martin and been fine, and he would have just kind of just avoided everything that people were asking him.
The scene where he basically kept leaving conversations.
Oh, that was gold. I'm like, this is so
yes.
The bummer part, my hot take is the reason why this isn't funnier is because I have to read and miss the scenery. And this is where I don't like dubbing, but I found myself missing, because there's jokes with the visuals that connect with the verbiage. And it really helps. It really would have helped if I understand language. So I thought this movie was way funnier than I was expecting it to be at all. So my hot take is, on the plus side, it's pretty freaking funny if you get
it was your second watch, though, you said,
yes,
right?
It was my second watch.
I think that probably helped.
Oh,
there was a lot.
Exponentially.
Well,
There's a lot you're trying to figure out, as you're watching the first time. Like, what is this? What's happening?
Sure.
Well, even
And
Fellini
reading.
had to write himself a note saying, remember, this movie is a comedy. On the camera.
Yeah. So my other hot take, of course, was, bro, you can't be meta and obvious at the same time. You gotta pick one or the other. You're being a little it's not meta when you're trying to make it meta and you're telling us it's meta. It just got a little too you're not being clever anymore. I was a little frustrated by that. I was like, you lose it when you make it that obvious and say it that. Yeah, I was a little annoyed by that.
Yeah.
So that was my not pleasant hot take for this.
Oh.
You're not meta if you tell us, buddy. you're not. All right? I know you're trying to be, and I know you are more meta than anything that has been before it. But by telling us you're meta, are you really
shockingly
meta? Yeah.
It was
really meta?
Yeah.
It was so meta.
You're as subtle as Deadpool.
I was so
Come
lost
on
in the
now.
meta.
Subtle as Deadpool. That's a quote for this week. You're as subtle as Deadpool and Wolverine.
I haven't
Now
seen it
we're
yet, and
a
yet
relevant
I
podcast, guys. We're right.
feel
with
like I have. I got to watch it soon because all of the cameos are already being spoiled for me.
Oh, I
because
haven't. I've been. My ears. This podcast will come out like in a month, so we will. It'll be hilarious that we haven't seen it yet. Okay. Any other hot takes, Mariah? Okay, we're now gonna go straight into initial, thoughts. Mine's gonna kind of spoil some things though, so I'm a little afraid. I'm a little afraid of this, guys, because I'm afraid I'm gonna spoil things.
Spoilers. There will be spoilers,
Okay.
everyone listening.
Okay, initial thoughts.
We just assume
This is
people
both your first
have
watches,
seen
though,
it.
right? You guys are both. This is
Yes.
your first time.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Who wants to start us off on your initial feelings for Otto y Mezzo?
I'll do it.
Do it, Mariah.
Since I failed on my hot take as usual.
It's so spicy meatball.
First time I saw this movie, first Fellini movie. Everybody's heard of Fellini. And I hadn't seen any of them, and I really love this movie.
Oh, that's great.
I am a Fellini fan.
I love that so much.
I loved the comedy. I loved the attitude of Louisa. I love his aloof narcissism. I mean, everything was funny to me.
You and Robert Ebert, man. Just
entertaining.
right
Yeah.
That's
really? You're there.
I was shocked.
They right in.
Were you in right away?
Yeah.
When he was dying in traffic and then he floated away like
and
a
then
balloon or
the
a kite.
hilarious not
Yes.
real body
All
falling
of
to the
it.
ground.
I was
Then the dummy falls into the
This
ocean.
is so entertaining to me. It didn't get weird. I mean, it was all weird, but it didn't get old or there was no lull for me. I really liked it. I do think if I watch it again, I will get more of the humor, like you said, because you are busy reading. But man, I am shocked at how much I loved this movie.
That's great.
It's awesome.
That's a great first impression.
It's
Pat,
for sure in the top 20 now.
Let's take it on the other side.
Whoa!
I know
Yeah.
this is gonna go a different direction.
I can't wait for Pat.
That.
Oh no!
I think this movie would benefit from a rewatch because I think I struggled just being just trying to figure out what the movie was. And so it felt like I was chasing a thing the movie wasn't giving me till really late, honestly. And by then I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can, in hindsight appreciate some stuff, but it felt so slow and meandering. And there were great little scenes and asides. And I'm like, this is pretty bonkers in a fun way, but it always... it never went as extreme in that way as I kind of wished it did.
Well, yeah, there were some points where you're like, oh, this is gonna go real bonkers. I was expecting to be like faces change into some other crazy things to start happening.
I feel like the women's makeup alone was enough crazy face changing. I thought that was
pretty nutty,
pretty well communicated.
And you had a couple zany characters that were just so.
You don't think the suicide under the press table was out there enough for you?
Well, I mean, it was, but also it wasn't.
And at that point, let's be real. You'd already gone through a couple crazy episodes. You're like, sure, why not?
I mean, how bad do you not want to answer anybody's questions?
So that's pretty good. That's the old
about
joke.
What you think about
public speaking
porn
versus being in the
politics.
Yeah.
It's that is all those reporters want to know about. What are your thoughts on porn and politics?
I think I embraced being lost from the beginning too. I think I was like, well, let's see what they throw at you now, and let's see how any of this connects. Does any of this connect?
Yeah.
What are these mob boss guys just coming in and out? And
I needed to let more of the movie.
Of course, the Bob's gonna be.
Of course,
there.
they're gonna back the film.
Yes.
Good.
I needed to let more of the movie, I think, just wash over me. But I found myself being like, where are we in this story, in this journey?
That's not
what's happening.
wrong. No.
And I think the meta of the movie was like weirdly like I kept being like, what movie is he making? Like they keep talking about this sci-fi movie, and the only bits of the movie we see are the very emotional emotional parts.
Which is the whole point.
And I was like,
yeah.
What's happening?
So
what
so
could this
so
movie possibly be?
The sci-fi guy in you is like, where's the rocket? Like, why is there just this huge framework?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, they keep just being like, look at how big we built this spaceship. And then some people are talking about nuclear war. And it's like, what is this? But there's a wife and a mistress. And I mean, I think moment by moment, there are great bits. I just think the whole thing together felt overlong and a little too, impressed by itself. I think where I was like, you didn't like surprise me with how meta it all was in a way that was enjoyable. It felt like, yeah.
But do you think you would have felt differently if you had watched it in 1963?
Probably, yeah. I think that also. I was trying to think like, what are more meta or sort of perspective shifting movies that I've really liked, or like.
I kind of felt like
going back into memory.
Memento
and I was
was
thinking
a similar feel. Like, what is happening?
Really?
They're jumping back and forth. What's real? What's not real?
Yeah, for sure.
I
kind of liked
Eternal
being
Sunshine of the
confused.
Spotless Mind
Yeah.
kind of came to mind.
That
you're just pulled into a memory from kind of nothing. I enjoyed parts of that. The other thing I think that got me
So it wasn't
was
wasn't Fantasia for you guys like me? It wasn't Fantasia, just me? Okay.
wasn't
just checking.
Fantasia. Oh, I liked the score.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought.
just
Sorry,
like
Fantasia.
the
That's
movie.
what happened.
Just now, just like the movie. Oh no, I remember the dubbing.
Oh yeah.
I was like, am I watching this in the wrong language? Because very few lines ever match their lips.
Yeah.
Because as we're a fan of, none of this was recorded on set. He changed lines entirely in editing. And so it's basically they're just saying whatever they want on set, and then he rewrote everything.
Yeah, but isn't it even more
Later.
fun
So I
to
was like,
think about it after you
what?
like read the fun facts and go, he was just yelling at everybody the whole time.
Yeah,
Mark.
100%.
Berating
Mark.
everybody.
Hi, Mark. It sounds like it's just like another of your favorite movies.
I love it.
Well, and then that's where the meta of it, and him, Guido as the director in the screen test, just saying, do this, do this, do this. I enjoyed all of that in hindsight. Like, I'm enjoying the movie more.
Is this
now
going to
that
be a
it's
Mariah podcast?
I think I'm a little bit more on a Mariah journey, but watching it, I was like, oh my gosh, how much longer is there?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get to the point of anything, and I was like, we're not. The things weren't enjoyable enough on their own.
Like you. He sounds a lot like you did on the old.
Yeah, no,
But
it was.
by
This
the
one
end-
was not
by
for
the
me.
end, we'll get him.
He'll come around.
We'll get him.
Yeah.
This was not for me.
I mean, Pat,
in the moment,
it's hard because you're not from like a creative field in your job, so that's probably
No,
makes sense why it's you don't
I'm not
understand these
intellectually.
things.
Someone that thinks
Yeah.
outside the box would maybe
Yeah,
get it.
I know you're more of like a numbers guy, so it's like like the creativity to create.
You need it to be linear.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's why Mariah probably enjoyed it more, because with her occupation, she needs to be more of that, like, the meta of how hard it is to come up with these new ideas.
Just go with the flow.
And you got to keep pushing people forward, even though you don't know what the product's going to be exactly what it's supposed to be. But you're in charge of all these people making this creative thing. And so you don't get that, Pat. But Mariah, she has this experience of this. So that's probably why you don't find any joy in this movie, because it has no bearing on your real life.
That's right.
Yeah,
folks.
Well, and I'll get to it later, but I think the movie explains why I didn't like that movie.
It's
in the movie.
Probably brought you too many reminders of work.
Yeah.
Pat,
No.
It's like Steven Tyler, who watched Spinal Tap and found no humor in it. He's like, I don't get it. Why is this funny? Pat's like, when he's working with his team, like, I don't get it. What's so funny? I'm just yelling at people.
This
to
is
keep
really
going.
just stressing me out. I feel like
it
I'm
was-
at work.
Yeah, as he's like, Pat, make a decision.
underneath the table. Don't do it, Pat.
Yeah, let me just crawl
I'll
away.
be right
No, Claudia, I think
Claudia.
expressed my fundamental issue with watching the movie
You
the first
don't know
time.
how to love. That.
And
that
therefore
piece of
you
it,
are
you're dead inside.
kind of
Oh, no.
unlovable.
Yeah, that's so good.
You know, and so like our lead is inherently unlikable.
Very much so. Which you don't get until a little bit into it.
No, she only has 8 minutes in this movie.
Yeah. Like,
No, you're talking about Guido.
oh
That we don't understand that Guido's unlikable.
no, but you get pretty quick that he's unlikable.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, okay, yeah.
well, although I was okay, I want to start a new thing on this podcast called recasting. How do we cast this in 2024? And because I think
How would
that'd be
we
really
ruin
fun.
this with American actors?
Oh, for sure. Well, it
Like-
doesn't have to be American. The good thing about most American actors is
Like
they're actually
Laurence
British
Olivier,
actors. They're
isn't
actually
that who
British
he wanted
actors.
to have it
Yeah,
for
he
a
did.
second?
That'd have been crazy. No.
Well, here's
They
another
really look
aside
the
though. Before
same.
we recast,
Oh yeah, we'll do the
This-
recast section in a second.
this movie spawned a musical 9, which was made into a movie
Stop
Yes.
it.
starring Daniel Day-Lewis.
That
Stop.
only had 39% on Rotten Tomatoes.
A
One of
Daniel
its very few
Day-Lewis
clunkers. It is a
Yeah.
very unliked movie.
I know. I saw that. I
And
was
Daniel
like,
Day-Lewis as
I've
your lead.
never heard of this movie. Or I hadn't.
because it was
can't
not good.
wait.
Well, now I want to see that it's not good.
I can't wait to see a
Yeah.
bad Daniel Day-Lewis movie. I just watched the last one he did, where he's the fashion
Phantom
designer.
Thread?
Phantom Thread. Weird as crap, but man, I couldn't tear my eyes away. I was in,
Yeah, mesmerizing.
and doggone it, if he's not the best actor, he's always up there. He'll always be part of that conversation because it's just so hard to turn away. And I'm not really interested in anything that's going on in this movie, but I cannot stop staring at what's going on because you have it all. Daniel, you have my attention. I will not look away
Yes.
from you.
Apparently not in 9.
We're going to my reaction of this movie because I tried to watch this 15 years ago or 10 years ago or something.
Oh, a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Okay.
Like I was in another country. I downloaded it probably illegally when I was in that country to watch this. But it wasn't illegal at that time because we had some weird law gaps. Anyways,
Wink, wink.
wink, wink. Totally not illegal at all. So I remember watching this thinking, maybe I'm not ready for good movies yet. But this time watching it, I thought, oh, he's dying and he's reliving his life in a weird like meta sort of way. And that's the way I thought the plot was. So then when I watched the whole thing, I'm like, oh, maybe that's not what other people think the plot is. So for me,
I think that's an interpretation
Yes.
because doesn't he die in the beginning by suffocating in the car? What was that?
100%. And then he
You
flies
know,
away.
like,
yeah. So
and
He was
now
just being
he's stuck in
dramatic.
some weird,
So
No, they made sure to give
purgatory
him-
until he.
They made sure to give him a not serious illness to which he was just recuperating. Just kind of a
But again,
stress-related.
not all of
But
that.
that could be
all of that
his-
felt
yeah.
like that's his explanation for getting out of it. So for me, I'm like, oh, he's dead. Like that's what I thought
Yeah,
the
that's
entire
a weird
movie.
fever
And-
dream he's having.
And
yeah.
that's why I thought it was a great dream because in dreams, you're never actually knowing why you're doing what you're doing, but you understand the feelings of going through it. So everything about this, I was like, oh, this is like he's been dead the whole time. So we're watching Sixth Sense right now. I get it. So this is where Sixth Sense got this idea from. So,
Yeah,
well, except
maybe.
everyone else.
so
I think in this version, we're in his last moments before death as he's reliving his life, as opposed to Sixth Sense. Where
Or he's already been.
I don't think he became a ghost in this one.
Because you know why I thought everyone was.
Although a lot of this could just be an LSD.
Ooh, that would be fun in '63, that's for sure. No, the reason I thought about it because there were so many old actors and actresses compared to young actors and actresses. So I remember in some of these scenes, you'd see 20 old people and then the one girl who was like 20, like the holy water scene and all these other things. So I'm like, oh, everyone's dead. And they're dead at what age they died at. So the whole time I'm thinking, oh, that makes sense. Oh, so she must have died young. So that's why she's so rare, because she died young, and so she's there with him. He died at this age.
Meta.
So the whole time I'm like, oh, this is.
I don't hate this interpretation.
Oh, and that's literally.
Here, are you liking it more with this in mind?
And the whole time I'm just like, oh, this totally makes sense. So the whole thing
makes the opening make any sense at all.
The whole thing makes a whole lot of sense if you think it's just.
Maybe he died
after
in
death.
the wine barrel in the beginning as a child, and he never grew up.
That goes against my interpretation, but I don't
weird
I don't hate
for
that
that
reason either. But so for me,
6-year-old to have
I
all
literally
these thoughts
thought
of all these ladies.
yeah, that would be in advance when you have why do I have
He
this gray
seems
hair?
pretty advanced.
Yeah. So I just took that as what everyone accepted it was. So as I watched it, I'm like, oh, this is obviously the interpretation that everybody must have. No, it is not. It is not the interpretation most people have. In fact, I would say it's the minority interpretation.
You could just be wrong.
No, that's fine. I'm okay with
I
being
didn't
wrong,
think
but
that
I
until
thought
you
that
said it, but it
immediately. Yeah.
makes more sense than what the movie is.
With my
in a lot of ways.
interpretation, I would say it's actually makes a whole lot of sense because of all of the things he felt he did kind of wrong to all these people and girls and his wife and the producers who's always there. He's just kind of reflecting all of it. So for me, I was like, this is a pretty logical movie. It didn't even feel weird in the context of how I was viewing it, which is a very surprising thing.
Yeah, if you're
If
following
believe
dream
that
logic,
if you think that he thinks that he's done anything wrong, which pretty clearly in this he doesn't feel like there's a lot of guilt. Like there's a good explanation. Why can't everybody just be cool with this?
Well, but remember though, if this is his,
Why can't they all just
if
take
this is
care
his,
of me?
be
and-
cool.
Yeah.
But if this is his memory of it, he's the one creating it. He's creating his wife being mad at him. So in fact, he knows he wasn't good to his wife. He's creating this actress who obviously doesn't feel fulfilled or that he gave him his part. So in that, he's understanding all of it, and then he goes to that crazy, but maybe it is okay. And everyone loves me. I'm in a bubble bath, and they're the doting wife, which is the funniest, just crack up scene. Because it does,
so funny.
it does ride the line, Pat, of being a comedy versus serious, and it does get a little too close to serious sometimes.
Yeah, I loved it.
But
those
man,
things.
it came
Well,
back. It came back.
I don't
real.
hate that balance at all. Again, I think Eternal Sunshine is exactly that kind of thing, and it has a similar dream logic thing. You're kind of just going, anecdote to anecdote, and you're chasing this thing, but the character's growing.
He's chasing that hobbit.
Guido has no arc. His arc is at the end. Oh, I know. You guys just got to put up with me the way I am. I don't need to change.
Because he's dead. Because he's been dead the whole time, guys. That's why
I can't. I literally
Let
can't
it
change
go.
because I'm
Let
already
it
dead.
go. That's not what happened.
He's dead.
He's just a guy
He
who is
can't
not
change.
going to change.
Because he's dead.
He's
You
just-
can't change after you die.
He's just a
You're just
selfish,
remembering all of this.
selfish
Yeah.
guy.
A dead, selfish guy.
Yeah.
So another...
But the irritating thing is his wife is on board with it finally at the end. It's like, all
again,
right, let's do
because
this.
he's dead. Because he's dead. It makes sense if he's dead. It doesn't make sense if he's not.
He's
That's
worn her
literally-
down
Can I?
so much
No, literally,
that
it-
she gives up. And
You
she's
know why
like,
she
"All
accepts
right."
it? Because he's dead, and that she can no longer change him because
She
has to-
loves him.
and she does, and she has to live with the memory of this horrible man because he's dead.
He is
Dead.
I buy it. I mean, because then his parents came back,
You guys
Again.
are
right?
wrong.
His parents who were clearly dead,
Yeah, and he does go back
as he's
there
literally
as well.
lowering his
Yes.
dad back into a grave. And he's
For
like, "Do you like
sure.
it here?" And
They
he was
just had
I
a
don't know.
quick visit.
Even the
Yeah.
conversations make it seem like, do you like it here? Because he's there now. Like it's all of
Yeah.
it makes so much
The ceilings
sense.
are a little low.
Like I didn't find an interview with the director, but I assume
It's one of his favorite movies of all time, too.
he would
Speaking of
say that.
narcissists, yeah.
His or
I
not.
love how unapologetically he's showing how much of a narcissist
I
he
think
is.
Fellini
I do
made
like
this.
that.
Yeah.
I think Fellini made this movie with that actor because that's who he wanted to be. Because you look at
1000%.
Fellini and you're like, that's not
1000%.
the guy
Well,
Fellini wanted
and he
to be.
started an affair
That's not
with
you, bro.
the woman Guido was having an affair with in the
Stop
movie,
it.
and they had a
Yes.
secret affair for
Stop
decades.
it.
It's so
What
meta.
a
The
diva.
movie
meta.
is
It's
so
all
meta.
Because he's dead.
Yes.
Meta on meta.
All directors involved in this movie were having an affair with the same woman.
Oh, it's so
It's very confusing. I did think of a recasting though.
okay.
That I don't
So
hate.
let's, now that we've understood that I'm right and Mariah's wrong,
Yeah.
let's move on to
Anything else.
Anything-
Because Seth won't stop about it.
let's talk about how it looks, and then we'll
can
get into
Pat say his recast?
Oh no, I want to wait for the recast. Can you
Oh.
hold your recast?
We're gonna
Pat?
do that later, I
Okay.
guess.
Write
I wrote
a
it down.
note
It's
to
fine.
your-
Because
yourself.
I want to talk about this before we change it. We got to talk about what it is before we change it. So let's talk about what this looks like, because this is where this movie goes from weird to great, in my opinion. Without the way it looks, this movie would not even be a top 100 movie. Without the way it was shot, this is not even a conversation that we'd even be having today.
Yes.
And I feel like this is almost, it's like the French New Wave, or almost style over substance, because we don't, this is my big critique of the movie, you don't like anybody. You don't cheer for anybody. Maybe the wife until she says you're fine as it is, and then you stop cheering for her.
I kind of liked.
I like
I think
Sergina.
the wife's friend.
The wife's friend's pretty cool,
sister, I forget.
It felt like
Wife's
but she
friend,
was great.
his confidant. So
Yes.
they're both kind of.
she was like the
But she kind of called
John
everyone on the crap.
Cusack's-
Yeah.
Joe Cusack
enjoyed
to
it.
John Cusack.
Yeah,
in
I kind
American,
of thought
yeah.
she might be his sister most of the time. I had to read
too.
that it was just a friend.
Because I thought it was a John.
Yeah,
Joan
it
Cusack
felt like
thing.
a sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
for
I'm
sure.
friends with your wife, but I'm going to tell you that you're a mess.
Yeah.
you
And just
were-
her yelling over the phone, seemingly as they're talking.
She's yelling
Like-
in the background.
That was
What's
great.
that monster want?
She's
so
great.
good. So this movie, so much movement, camera movement all over the place. It felt Citizen Kane-esque with the close-ups, with the background shots. It felt Sergio Leone-esque with the crazy close-ups. It was just so well done with the
A
darks
ton
and
of
the lights.
interesting blocking.
So much good block, so much leading lines, so many.
Yeah,
Just-
or tracking from one movement to
Oh.
the next as you're going through a scene. Great cinematography.
It's incredible, especially the dummy. No, okay, the dummies. I mean, they probably did
Oh,
that
yeah,
on
maybe
purpose.
not
but-
so much.
You know,
But, you know.
I was impressed. Like they must have been in a helicopter or something throwing a dummy off. I was like, well, how are they doing this? But I
yeah,
appreciate
even the
it.
holding the rope, I thought that was pretty clever. I'm like, it's not high.
Yeah.
It's not super expensive, but still, it gets the idea across. If you're like, oh gosh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
floating up in the air. So,
And I think the diverse characters
oh great.
along with the
So good.
filming.
So good.
I mean, nobody looks like anybody else. As soon as you figure out who that is,
Yeah.
you know who that is
Yes.
the whole movie. They set it up. I feel like the casting was great. I felt like
Yeah, it had that. You know, we talked about this with like the bicycle thief and stuff. Like really interesting looking character actor folks,
and especially with the close
and they were all killing it. Like the weird
So good.
double vaudeville act of like
Yes.
the medium and the weird clown, and you're like, what's happening with that?
I know. And you don't love it.
Oh.
You don't love that.
And
I like lots of bits of it.
no,
The problem, it's all hanging off this lead character that I find pretty unredeemable for the most part. Even when he's being witty and funny, at a certain point you're like, well, you're kind of just a scumbag, and I can't figure out. I haven't seen you do anything really great in the context of the movie that I'm
Well,
like,
'cause
oh,
everything
this is why people love him.
Everything he's done, he'd already done. It was in his past. He was a great director, and now he's trying to come up with this new thing, and he can't. And
Yeah,
just
and he got in
it spotlights
overseas,
the
which-
failure of all of his relationships, his career's falling apart. It's all coming down,
oh, but you're so right.
Well, and again, the thing
Actor
I
and actress
like,
is so
and
good.
it's hilarious.
so good.
I mean, he's super charming too. I think that he does a good job with it in a way that is hard in that kind of role, but it was still tough. I think the thing again that I like researching movies like this is it's so meta that literally Fellini was in the exact same situation
Yeah.
in coming up with the whole premise of this movie.
No, it's
He'd
so
already
funny.
started building sets and he cast people. He had no idea what the movie was about,
And he
other than a
went to
creative
tell
block.
somebody, "Hey, I can't." The producer, I think, he was like, "I don't know any more what this movie is." And then as he's doing it, he's like, "Wait,
Hold
Well,
up.
yeah, and he had to give like a speech at some party for the crew, and he was like, "I can't tell the crew, oh, we're not doing this movie." That's insane
Yeah,
to
it's
me,
great.
And then just pulls
and
it out.
and great, but also so, I don't know, narcissistic.
Yeah.
Like,
It's hilarious. It's
Yeah.
hilarious.
You literally are selling this movie, even though you're just staying for it. You're just staying.
Well, but again,
the fact
when
that
you
there's
come
so
in
much
cold-
emotion for it, almost makes it more appealing. I didn't know. I don't think I even had this much emotion toward it, but you seem to actually have more response to this movie than Mariah and I did.
Fire in your
I
belly.
would have been
love
curious if I knew more about Fellini, or I was just more familiar with his work before watching it. Would I have been like, "Oh, I kind of get this"? What's happening?
Nothing. I don't know why we.
I'll be honest. I've been editing this a little bit, and I'm sick of me and Mariah and I drinking at the same time when Pat's talking.
Oh,
So
It's a
there's all
drinking
these
game.
takes where Mariah
That's
and I, when Pat starts to get into a point, and Mariah's like, "All right,"
and you're
all
like,
right."
"We better
Might
take
not
a
be
drink."
looking at me this time.
It's
Oh, I'm
almost
so
like-
aware.
It's almost like we know we have a good 15-second break here. Okay, we can get a drink.
I'm not gonna be able to. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna be able
Pat's on
to
a
finish
run.
this beverage. It's not gonna
Pat's
happen.
on a
There's
run.
only so many windows I'm gonna get here, and we
So
have to take
I literally
advantage.
saw her take a drink. I'm like, "Oh no, I have it up now." And then I waited till she was done, and then I lifted mine up. So that's why we laughed there. Sorry, Pat.
Okay, that's
Okay.
Just sinking
I
out.
only feel a little bad.
Okay. So we agree this movie is well casted, well acted, well shot.
And Pat still hates it.
It's just kooky as all get out because everyone doesn't acknowledge that it's
Hate's
just
a
because he
strong
died. Anyways, that's another thing. We're moving on. This is a new segment we call Recast, where we are going to recast this movie in 2024. You don't have to be American. You don't have to be, it doesn't have to be Italian even. You don't even have to. And I know you guys you love the 2024 current array of Italian actresses and actors. I know you guys are actors thing. But try to stick to more of the mainstream actors and actresses for our audience, okay? Don't go too indie on us, okay?
Okay.
I only really have Guido recast.
Oh, yeah. Please tell. Okay, on 3, we're all going to say who we think it is because I think we might all say the same person. Okay, you ready? 1,
Yeah.
2, 3. George
Adrian
Clooney.
Brody.
Javier Bardem.
Oh, that's good too.
What did you
No,
say, Seth?
I says George Clooney.
Yeah.
Looks wise, yeah.
And
Yeah,
and
100%.
George Clooney literally does this in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It's a very similar character.
Yeah, he can play that.
You
guy.
can get that guy who's just squirming out of stuff and not really and very likable. He'll even have the gray hair. No, Clooney was like, I was like, oh yeah, you've got the comedic chops to pull this off.
But like Clooney from, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago.
I do realize my Clooney thing is 10 years late. I'll acknowledge that. I'm not going to give you 15. I think he could still done 10 years ago, but you're right.
Yeah,
He's a
yeah, I
little
mean-
late.
He's past midlife
Yeah.
crisis,
But if it was in black and white, he could pull it off. No problem.
probably.
No problem. Okay, give me your guys's. I mean, you're both like good actors and that, but what? Give me. What do you say?
Adrian Brody.
Yeah,
It's just the vibe. I feel like he could do it.
He's
I feel like
funny.
he could do that, and he would make it funnier.
Yeah, but see, I think he'd be too comedic. He'd be too.
Is this,
Yeah.
are you
He's
thinking
not-
because of the Wes Anderson role he was in? Or it was also a little bit meta
Maybe
as
a
the
little.
director?
I
Maybe
was
that's
saying-
why
Or no,
it
he
was
was the
just like
actor.
a knee-jerk reaction, and
I
that's
wasn't saying
where I
this.
heard
This
felt
movie
it.
feels like it could be a Wes Anderson done. Like
Yeah.
you could do this in a Wes Anderson way,
Yeah.
and it
Sure.
would play very well.
I think a lot of kind of the background reveals and set changes that happen in shot or, feels like it is. I think that's very Wes Anderson vibey, where it's like
Oh, for sure.
just the facade of the entire world changing constantly, I think is
Too much
Wes
camera
Anderson's
movement for Wes, but other
done
than
that a lot.
other
Yeah,
than that-
Yeah, he'd move the sets more than the cameras.
Okay.
Now
Now, why have
I went with Javier Bardem
Yeah,
dashing
because
foreign.
I guess so. But
he's
man, he's scary. as all
he's
get
got
out.
some
He doesn't
gravitas.
always have that.
Yeah, even the movies I like him in, I'm still a little bit scared of him.
Lyle Crocodile?
Well,
Yeah, it's terrifying. He could come out of nowhere. I'm like, I've seen you in No Country for Old Men. I know what's happening.
I think to me, like, he's just always like charming. I mean, not always. Skyfall, even Skyfall, he's charming. But he's always charming.
He has a mystery to him, and he doesn't have the sleaziness factor.
But he's like he's unknowable in that way.
Okay,
and maybe a little guarded, but people are drawn to him, and I think so. You would understand why people are sort of connected to him in a way that they can't resist, even though they maybe know they shouldn't. I don't know.
You could also
and
just
just
use
his,
you could just use his lookalike and do Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
My only problem is I think he'd be too,
because he hasn't been in too many scary parts.
Yeah, I think he'd be too likable. Is my only thing. He needs to be a
well. This guy is.
Ball.
He's like a weaselly, good-looking, dashing, like just like Laurence Olivier, who we considered for the part. Very good-looking, kind of a cad.
Yeah, and
I think we need this character to be more likable. We all want to forgive him for how bad he is. Like, and again,
Johnny
I think
Depp, then Johnny Depp should be it then.
Oh,
forgive him.
Maybe it could be Leonardo DiCaprio, since there's this whole go upstairs because you turned 30.
Yeah, that's oh my gosh, that's so good, Mariah. That's so good.
Nope, that's 30. The rule. The rule's the rule. Go upstairs. You're done.
And they're gonna form a revolution.
I love that she gets to perform one last number and nobody's watching.
Oh, it's so
like
good.
Nobody's paying attention to her, and she's like giving it her all.
Oh, yeah,
you can do one more time.
Sad and hilarious.
You see the new joke. The bummer is Leonardo can no longer watch Titanic because it's over 30 years old.
No.
Actually, I don't think it's 30, but you know. Oh, that's good. A 30-year-old. That's perfect. I take it back. I want Leonardo now. No. Okay. Who do we cast? The wife, estranged wife. That's another fun one to recast.
That's a tricky role, and I thought she did it well because I think that role feels like, like the demanding, unreasonable wife or something in that situation, but you were fully on her side and she felt confident. Even though she you realize like she's smarter than him in a lot of ways or something. If she did a great job, so I think it's tricky. My gut went to Emily Blunt, but I just
good one.
That's just because Emily Blunt's around a lot and she's good.
Julianne Moore would be one up there. Kate Blanchett would be probably less. I love Kate Blanchett, but
she plays a pretty good wronged wife, though.
She does, but almost a little too. She's not as bad as Frances McDormand, but she'd still have that more of a edge to her because she's still got that kind of cute like thing going on, which I thought was great. She's still like she's that good mix of like sophisticated, still very attractive, and so it makes no sense why she's being cheated on to us, the audience members. We're like, why are you with this other crazy lady
because
who's not as good looking?
He can't be happy.
Exactly right. So maybe even Reese Witherspoon, that could be a good one. A little walk the line thing going. Again, I'm picking from 20 years ago. I'm not great.
I know you're definitely casting from early 2000s. I think
you can tell I'm old.
All great.
Yeah, that'd be more my thing. The Emily Blunt though, that'd be kind of cool. The fun one, of course, you could have so many fun people be the mistress. That would be so fun. That'd be a fun role. That'd be like,
yes,
that could be like, what's her name? Jennifer Lawrence would be. She'd probably love that role.
Yeah, she would be good.
She'd kill that role.
Yeah, Anna Faris.
She'd be hilarious in that. Yeah, that'd be really good. Even Emma Stone, the way her movies are turning, she could be funny in that too. Emma Stone's so funny now. She's that good mix of funny and like serious movies now. So who knows?
I think she'd be good as like the best friend.
Oh, that'd be pretty good. Well, what if you did this? What if you made like the estranged wife, like Scarlett Johansson, and then you made like the other person Blake Lively? Oh, no, is that too soon, guys?
Very meta.
And then Ryan Reynolds plays the okay, guys, no.
That would be the wrong way
He
to
plays
go.
the guy
That
who
would be
he would play
so-
the guy who's having like the midlife crisis and has the super young girl.
Oh,
with
that'd
him.
be so funny.
Yeah.
Think that that's
That speaking of great moments, that guy's introduction was epic. That was like Willy Wonka
yes.
in the Chocolate Factory level intro, where he's bent over, what's wrong with you? And he's like, nothing. I thought that was so
Yes.
good.
There's.
Yeah, this movie. Yeah, I'm telling. I think this movie would.
I hope this grows on you, Pat, because there's a lot of fun stuff.
You know what, Scorsese? You know the two movies
so
Scorsese watches is Red Shoes
and Red Shoes,
Uh-huh.
This is also David
Terry
Lynch's
Gilliam.
favorite movie.
Yep, and Terry
Terry Gilliam loves
Yep,
this movie.
Terry Gilliam loves this movie.
Yeah.
Come on.
I know.
And I
A
think,
lot of people do.
because I do feel, I don't want to say this again, but it feels like it's a little bit of a director's Spinal Tap. It feels just like, but it's well shot, so then the director can even like it more. Like,
Yeah.
so it feels,
Yeah, well, I think because it's so experimental, both in terms of storytelling and cinematography, and on and on and on, except for the dubbing part. Like it's really compelling in a bunch of ways, and then because it's commentary on the life of a director or a put upon creative, that would also be, I imagine, very interesting for those folks to watch. Like all the people asking you questions constantly, and the, just your life being invaded by a creative project. Yeah, that's all, I imagine, very relatable to those folks. But to me, it's just real long. It's just real long.
Huh? How long is this movie? I don't feel like it's that long.
2 hours and 15 or something.
Yeah, it's
8.5 hours. Which is why it's
138
Okay,
minutes.
so yeah, it's about 2 hours.
But there's no intermission. I mean,
I took one. I definitely took one.
well, yeah, I couldn't do it all in one sitting, but I did keep going like, oh, how much more of the story are we going to get? Like, I was excited. Like, they're still going to go places with this, right?
They gotta walk around that big spaceship more,
with our two different, I'm gonna call them worldviews of this movie. One like where he's dead, and one where he's apparently still alive, which is a ridiculous concept. It does,
but going through a mental breakdown.
Yeah, it does change the way you look at this movie in the ending and when it should end, because you're like, oh yeah, no, this whole thing kind of just.
I think all ways
dissipates.
to look at it are great. I think it's all...
true, and it makes you think both ways.
It's very open to
kinda
interpretation.
Yeah, sure.
for sure. This movie, does it make your top 10, Mariah? We know you said it makes your top 20, but does it make your top 10?
I'm not willing to say that
Okay, not
for
willing to say
sure,
that yet.
but
Okay.
for
I like
sure
that.
20.
I am
15 even.
shocked. I am shocked that you put it in your top 20.
Really?
It's
Yes.
20's a lot.
You say that.
Yeah, but there's a lot of movies out there.
Do it.
I know, but I think
I
when I
should-
made my
should
20
break out
list,
the
there was probably
list.
like a lot of just cluster at the end. Like, I don't
You're
know.
just so snobby that
This time I really
makes
was. This time I really was. I get it. I'm going to watch more
I mean,
Fellini.
good for you.
I'm going to do it.
Good for you.
I don't think we have to ask this question, but is this movie snobby?
Yeah.
Oh, so snobby.
Yes.
It's almost worse
For
because
all
it's
many
about
checkboxes
making
of
movies.
snobbiness.
It's because it's about making movies that makes more lists all over the place. I am glad I rewatched it though. I'm
Now
gonna
that
say
you're a
this
better
again.
reader,
Now that
do
I'm
you
a
think
better
maybe that's...
reader, no. Now that I have like a context for it, and I'm also glad I didn't read what it was about like thoroughly before I watched it. Because when I watched it, I'm like, oh, okay, this is why it makes sense to me now.
Well, yeah, the quick synopsis as you're clicking it to watch in the Criterion Collection,
that doesn't
it doesn't
ruin
give you
anything.
any...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so
Although-
this is weird? Okay.
Although it doesn't say, like, for me, I'm like, oh, and obviously the big reveal is that he's never really alive. That was the again, I kind of went Sixth Sense on this whole thing.
I
So,
still
like,
haven't found any of that in the fun facts.
No,
so I don't know.
I was
No.
so surprised when I'm like, wait a minute.
You're the only
This
one on the planet
obviously
that thought
is
that.
no, I don't think I am. But
I think it's a great take. I think that is
he's dead.
apt.
That's obviously why we do
It
this.
is one way you could.
It makes a lot of. This movie makes more sense with my take than the way than the other way.
100%. Or like it's some weird fever dream situation. Like either way,
The classic wake
it
up
doesn't make
Where
sense.
am I?
Yeah,
Oh,
it
your
doesn't make
fever
sense
broke.
if this is reality
Yeah.
in any way.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Any last thoughts on the movie, guys? That we did? Oh, we got to talk about fun facts. Fun facts of the movie. What do you guys
We
got?
got some fun facts. Mariah mentioned some that there was.
Dead air.
Yeah. Dead air. No, Mariah mentioned one where Fellini literally had a note taped to the viewfinder that was like, "This is a comedy," which I thought was great.
Psst,
Yeah.
Be more funny. Psst,
Yeah.
Be more funny.
Yeah. This is not
The
gonna
other
work.
one I found out that the composer for this also composed Godfather 1 and 2,
So
Yes.
cool.
Nino Rota,
Mm.
and apparently he'd been reusing a theme from an earlier movie.
Oh, that's great.
And you see hearing a piano apparently in this. I didn't recognize it at the time. That he reused in The Godfather, which is why The Godfather was ineligible for best score because he
Stop.
already had
Because he
used the song. He kept
reused
reusing
it.
his music.
Stop.
That was great. But you did win for Godfather too.
Okay.
And then we already talked about 9, which is sad. Yeah, that might have been. And then just the dubbing and the rewriting the lines in editing is crazy to me.
Yeah, that is
But-
crazy. I didn't know that.
If you're willing to do it, I was so thrown off. I was like, wait a minute, I'm listening in Italian. Aren't they speaking Italian? Why don't any of their mouths line up?
Not a lot. And then there's just a couple of one-liners that are English. I
Yeah,
felt like that
this
was
is my American assistant, and you're like, hello.
Hello. Oh, it
It's
cracked
like-
me up.
I'll
But then
wait
there's
out here.
But then there's a couple random people I think that just say something in English too,
Yeah,
and
the
you're
guy
like,
with the glasses.
yeah, like what?
I kept being like, "What's this movie about?" Or I don't know.
Well-
But I think those are my.
Here's my Fellini quote that I feel like is a fun fact that makes Seth wrong. Fellini said that he hoped to convey the 3 levels on which our minds live: the past, the present, and the conditional, the realm of fantasy. Not I'm dead and this is what.
Do you say that? Or
No,
not?
he didn't.
Did he say
I'm
not
dead.
that I'm dead? Or-
Yeah, he did. He also said,
Yeah.
side note, I didn't die,
Yeah,
if
no,
that's what you're
he
thinking.
still died. He still died.
Parentheses,
You're
not that I am
wrong.
dead.
Nope, still dead. That doesn't
Actually, the other thing-
negate what I was thinking.
The other fun fact, which doesn't take much research, is like, why was this called 8.5?
So
Oh, yeah.
What does that have to do with
stupid.
anything?
So frustrating. It's
How
so
funny. Unless he did all of them like that. Like, this one is 7. This one is...
No, it's meta, but it's not good meta. It's just no. You don't get to do. It's again how much of a megalomaniac the director
Narcissism.
was. He's
Well, I also
just
think it
all about
speak-
himself.
it's-
Apparently, it
to
wasn't
the-
even his choice, actually, which is a little
Really?
weirder.
Yeah, somebody
Oh,
said it was...
okay.
There was like a working title that was different.
Yeah, it was like Beautiful Confusion or
Yeah.
something, I think
Such
was what he
a
wanted.
better title. Such a better title.
Well, now...
But I think
I think
Or-
the
8.5
issue was
lives on forever this way.
It's true.
Yeah.
And you have no idea what it's
I-
about. You have no idea what it's about
oh yeah.
because that title.
Well, but
Beautiful Confusion at least
I-
like gives you a clue. You're about
I
to
don't
be in
think they
for
had a
ride.
name when they didn't know what the movie was about after they already like started production. So just giving it a numbered name was the safest thing. Probably they're like,
that's
we don't know what
fine.
you're going to end up with, so let's
Yeah.
just number this thing and call it done, and that'll be fun.
Film yet to be
Yep.
titled.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Can we talk about some of the references? The Pulp Fiction dance that was kind of rips off that dance in it when they're the young gal and that's
the girlfriend.
yeah. Tarantino kind of got some inspiration from that with a girlfriend and them.
What's
So
even her look with the wig?
Yeah,
right.
it's
In
very-
Pulp Fiction,
Yeah.
Uma Thurman's wearing that black
Yep.
wig, and it looks.
Yep.
Yeah,
So that's kind
I
of a
do
fun
like
one.
that.
Apparently the REM music video "Everybody Hurts" is same the beginning scene where they have the
Floating up into
floating
the
up
sky.
in the sky sort of thing. That's kind of fun.
The
Those were
end
great.
of Buckaroo Banzai is basically the same.
Yeah.
The entire cast comes back and they dance around.
Yeah, I do love that ending.
Brazil, Terry Gilliam says a lot of things that kind of weirdness of Brazil also gets some shout outs to 8.5. We should probably do Brazil in the show once.
Yeah, just kind of not knowing like where reality is, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
For sure. So anyways, so this movie, Pat, changed
Is it
cinema.
in your top 10 now,
It
Pat?
changed cinema, Pat.
No. Yeah. But again, the critic in the movie and Claudia point out the problems with the whole movie is that basically there's not really a point and our lead is unlikable because he doesn't know how to love. And so why am I supposed to like
Excuse
it?
me, Pat, on this is on line 2, 2001 A Space Odyssey is calling. Would like you to pick up.
Those leads are likable.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of
Dave's
things.
likable.
It's a whole lot of like cool shots and feelings and like that don't move on the plot. And I feel like you're a little bit of, I don't know, a Pharisee, not a Pharisee necessarily, but yeah.
I wonder if he's just so triggered because he's so like the director.
Yeah, that's true. I've heard a lot. You're like this director.
Like
That's
also narcissistic, dead inside.
We don't like, to see what we
he's
hate in
probably
ourselves.
He's probably worked for that director.
That big mirror they
He's
just
probably-
put in front of your face.
So good.
I really do think in a movie that you could maybe say is more basic, they would have shown us more why this director character is worth putting up with. And we just kind of take it for granted. And again, I think that's like, this is Fellini, and people know that Fellini's last movie was so good. And so there's all these expectations about what 8.5 is going to be.
To back it up.
I didn't have that context going into this movie. So all I have is a guy who had a panic attack in a car who ends up at some kind of sanitarium to get healthy.
Funny?
And then eventually I realized, oh, he's making a movie?
Yeah.
Why do I care about any of this?
It'd be funny if Wes Anderson made this and basically made fun of himself in the same way. We probably would.
Yeah, I probably
love
would
it.
be way more appealing.
We'd probably love it.
Anybody I probably was more familiar with, and they could be there'd be some of that meta commentary on their own work that I was more familiar with. I think it would work better. And that's why I think a rewatch of this, knowing what I know now, I'd probably appreciate a lot of it more.
I would hope so.
So
Seriously.
maybe in
It's just-
some time
Pat, I guess Mariah just
I
has
will
to tell you
give it a chance.
you're not quite the movie snob she is, I guess that's what it comes down
Not
to.
today.
Definitely not.
Today.
Definitely not.
I know tables have turned. Last week we were all 2001. Pat's like, yeah, this is great from forward to back, and we're like, boring.
Too many emotions. Not enough
Not enough robots.
murderous robots. We didn't even get to the sci-fi. Where was the sci-fi?
Oh, it's so good. Is this a sci-fi movie? Is this the best sci-fi movie ever made, Pat? Pat,
Absolutely.
that would be my hot
Best
take.
sci-fi
The best
movie
sci-fi
never
movie.
made.
New hot take.
Didn't
This
make?
This
Yeah.
is the best sci-fi. That's so good. The best sci-fi movie never made. That should be the hot take this week, guys.
There you go.
I
Yeah,
wish
I-
they would have named whatever that
call
movie
that
was.
one.
Okay,
because
here's a soundbite.
I didn't have
hey,
one in
Mariah.
the beginning.
Hey, Mariah, what's your hot take?
Oh, this is the best sci-fi movie never made.
Boom! That just happened, folks.
I've been sitting on that one all day.
We should have our hot takes again at the end and be like, wow, these guys are really insightful after talking for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
They really got it down.
Yeah. That's all I need. It's
That's
about an hour
all
and
I
a
need.
half.
Hour and a half. Anything else about this movie that we missed? Because I think the idea of, guys, this is a director's favorite movie. Like, if you're a director in Hollywood and you have to mention this movie because it's about directing.
I would also have to just one quick addition was how amazing the scene, like the locations were.
Oh,
I thought it was all very cool.
Again, scouted before he knew what the movie was about. Similar to the movie within a movie.
That tracks. That totally tracks. Like, 'cause
totally
it
tracks.
doesn't make sense why they were getting holy water here, but it's cool.
Scouted and cast and sets
brilliantly.
made before they knew what the movie even
Yeah.
was.
What's my role? What's
Okay,
my role?
here's a question.
It's kind of like a Wong Kar Wai.
You beat me to my punch, Pat. I was literally mid Wong Kar Wai reference.
Oh, I can't believe
And
you
you
waited.
just, I was literally, I had
For
to
those-
pause down, and he just jumped in there. He's like,
No.
Wong Kar Wai, mood for
For
love.
those playing the drinking game, you have heard Wong Kar Wai, so you must drink.
Yeah.
You know, I actually lived in Asia.
There's another drink.
Next drink. Pat's an animator. Next drink.
Next drink.
Too many reasons.
Pat's a
many
robot
reasons.
with no emotions. Next drink.
Pat's dead.
I will say that that would be a lot of drinks this episode. I will say the Wong Kar Wai with no planning that took longer to shoot, of course.
Yes.
Did have more of a story that made like easy to follow than this did.
Oh, I did think of one more
Yeah.
fun fact.
Oh, go.
When they shot this, there was some sort of hiccup in the technology, and so Fellini never saw like dailies or any.
That makes a lot of sense.
He didn't see any of it till he started editing.
Oh, that's funny.
So all the film was down.
Like
He
George
just had to
Lucas.
make a movie out of it.
Huh.
That's pretty scary.
That's Wong Kar Wai. Well,
Yeah.
I was just
Who knows how much footage he had?
I was just reading about George Lucas making graffiti with like Ron Howard, and Ron Howard's like, "Hey, how's that?" And George Lucas was like, "Honestly, I'll wait till I get the music to it, and I'll just kind of cut the parts I like together." He's like, "Don't you want to give me direction of like how I should act this?" He's like, just kind of do your thing, because like I'll just put it together in post."
That's
So like,
not how we do things here.
yeah, but that's how like that was a very
Very George Lucas.
yeah. Ron Howard's like been working the biz for like 10 years, 15 years by that point, and he's
Yeah.
like, "You give me no direction, George," and he's like, "Yeah, well, you know, it's just you, it's the
This
cars,
isn't how the
whatever."
Reiners do it.
Yeah, exactly right. This isn't how Andy does it. So yeah, this movie is a snobby movie, guys, and if you want to be a movie snob, I hate to say it, this is on your must-watch list. Is this a top 10 snobby movie? Not is it your favorite movie, but is it a top 10 snobby movie? Pat, go.
Without doing the math, I would say yes because of how meta it is.
Mm.
It's sort of all the things plus the meta makes it pretty snobby.
Yeah, right. Top 10 snobby movie. Go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, without question. Yeah, I think it's hard because like as far as Italian cinema goes, this is still number 2 to Bicycle Thieves as far as snobby movies go. But that's it. That's it. This is the second most snobby Italian movie ever made. And it's
Of the two that you've seen.
of the two that and because the Bicycle Thieves predates it.
It would have to go first.
It has to go first. And this feels like French New Wave with better equipment. With better shots, better framing, better everything. It feels kind of French.
Yeah.
French
This
New
just
Wave.
The quality
Seth
of the
said Italy is
craftsmanship.
better than France, everyone.
Well, France had no resources, which made French New Wave so good is their lack of ability to do some of these shots, actually. So, yeah, I wouldn't say that. French
Yeah.
New Wave
They
changed.
shot at a hospital because that's where
Yeah, I mean,
what was available.
the French New Wave changed cinema. Like that was you can't argue with like Truffaut and Godard. Like that's hard. But Fellini, like this feels like it feels more grand than a French New Wave movie, but it still has that disregard for who cares whether you know
Rules.
what's going on.
Yeah.
Just the feel of it and what's going down there. And by the way, I'm really cool and I'm having an affair right now, so you must watch this because I think you don't like it, Pat, because there's no humility in it. Like there's no like taking it's unapologetically kind of a jerk making a movie about a jerk. And so I think you don't like that.
And
no
trying to convince us
ownership
all
of it.
that like you can't change him, just learn to live with it.
Exactly
and then
right.
we'll all be happier. And it's
So-
like, well,
The message
maybe
is
you
terrible.
change a little.
The message is terrible unless you realize it's about him after he died. So, Anyways, guys, I'm glad we watched this. This was on the list for a while. It's my fault we haven't watched it until now because I pushed it away.
Yeah.
Because I was so bored the first time I watched
We've
it.
been begging. I mean, he keeps saying no.
Pat's like, please, please, please.
This looks so good.
We've watched 2 movies these last 2 weeks, which is crazy because this is season 3. That should have probably been our first 20 movies we ever watched in 2001.
There's a lot of movies.
And 8.5. Because these 2 are one of those movies that like
number week.
We just seen so many Kubricks.
That's true. We got a little Kubrick down. We did start with a weird Kubrick with Barry Lyndon. I'm not gonna lie, that's a weird way to start. But we did finally get to 2001.
We've seen 4 Kubricks.
Yes, which is honestly that's fine because Kubrick's that good. So that's just fine. And honestly, we're probably gonna see La Dolce Vita soon. That's probably gonna be on our list too. So stay tuned for that, guys. In the meantime,
so we got to go to 7 or 1917 or something with a number in it next, right?
That's
or just a number, the number run.
Yeah, 17 again will be my vote, but that's different. All right, guys. My name's Seth.
Mariah.
And
Patrick.
There we go. I like Patrick. That's a good ring to it.
I don't like Patrick. That feels like,
I really like it. It's Patricio.
Like I'm in trouble with myself.
Patrick.
Aren't you?
Patrick.
Aren't you? And guys, we just watched 8.5. It was a snobby movie. No questions asked. Go out and watch it. Check out the podcast. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week with a new movie. Keep watching movies, and we'll see ya later. Maybe.
See you soon.
I don't.
See you later.
We need a good one. Anyway,
Ciao.
Bye. Ciao. Oh, good one.